do WRPB and WRPB Studios. You know, we live in an age where we spend all our time on computers, cell phones, which in essence are their own computers, and we don't think about certain things that can possibly happen. With me is Mr. Wirsing from Wirsing Security.
You got it. Nailed it.
You know, it's you say that, but when you get my age, you forget everything. Okay, so what is Wirsing Security?
Yeah, so I'm starting a consultancy firm here in Port St. Lucie, mainly focusing on cybersecurity needs for small to medium-sized businesses. I've been in the industry for a while now, and I saw a gap here in Port St. Lucie where, cybersecurity needs weren't really being met. So that's
All right, so let's clarify. What is cybersecurity?
Sure, yeah. So cybersecurity is, think about physical security, right? If you're talking about like how you lock your door at night and you do the things that you need to do to protect your, physical property,
Right.
cybersecurity is the same, but for your computer, right? You need to take precautions and steps to secure your digital assets as well.
So, like, if you're on Facebook and someone says, "Hey, if I send you an email, I've been hacked," is that what cybersecurity protects? Stuff
Sometimes,
like
yeah,
that.
some people protect stuff like that. That would be phishing. Usually, is what you're seeing on Facebook, where someone clicked a link that they shouldn't have. One of their friends sent them a deal for, oh, I've got Prada shoes for $5.
Right.
So they click the link because they're excited, and usually that leads them to download some sort of malware or get their account compromised.
So my question is, cybersecurity will protect that from happening?
Yeah, that's the goal, right? That's the goal. Is through training and antivirus or anti-malware software, stuff like that. You can help prevent those things from happening and occurring.
What happens when they do happen? How does one fix it? Do you like?
Yeah, so that's where someone like me would come in too. I would offer incident response services as well. Come out, help them walk through that. If we talk about some breaches that happened recently or whatever. Usually they have some sort of incident response plan where they will go through and triage the issue, change your password, do whatever you need to do to make that account secure again.
So, what I remember from years ago, because I'm a little more um, up on it now, I remember getting on my computer and all those pop-ups come up
Oh yeah.
and trying to find those programs because they're hidden
Oh yeah.
in other programs.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So usually that's where you'd use some sort of anti-malware or anti-software or antivirus software. Bitdefender, Norton. Those are the kind of common ones that a lot of people think of. That's what kind of stops those pop-ups from happening.
But what happens if you didn't and you get them?
Oh, if you didn't have it, so you could still retroactively use something like that. You could call someone like me. I could look through your computer and understand what happened. I wouldn't necessarily be able to tell you exactly what link you clicked on that led to that.
Right.
But if we probably look in your email, there's going to be some email from someone shady where you clicked on something that you probably shouldn't have. A lot of cybersecurity is actually in the preventative side, right? So
Right.
that's what I want to focus on. Is I can come out and fix the issue after it happened, but ideally the clients that are with me won't have to have that unfortunate.
I mean, it's scary because you hear having to major companies
Oh yeah.
that have cybersecurity, I would
Oh yeah,
think.
for sure.
So, how, on a scale of 1 to 10, cybersecurity gives you how much protection? I know it doesn't give you 10.
Right, not 10. Nothing's perfect. There's, especially in cybersecurity, the attackers are evolving just as fast as the defenders, right? So the people who are the hackers who are trying to get in are constantly changing tactics, and with AI and all the new, generative technology, they're able to adapt faster and faster and faster. And so defense is always kind of playing that catch-up game. Yeah.
Is Okay, so my question becomes, is AI a problem with cybersecurity?
Oh yeah, a big one. So if you think about you ever get that email where it's like, oh, you won $1 million from this oil prince.
Yeah, I'm
and,
still waiting to
yeah,
collect.
yeah, still waiting for it, right? And, well, now all those spelling errors and all the grammatical errors that were in those emails and types of emails and phishing campaigns, they're now corrected with AI. They're sent through this AI like ChatGPT or whatever program to say, hey, write me a really good, convincing email that someone will click this link, and then it'll generate a really convincing email why you should click this link. So
It's interesting because you're right. You would get emails and you'd look at them and they would spell
Right.
words wrong.
Right.
Okay. For me, the answer was I would just click on reply and see where it came from.
That's a great one. Yeah, if you hover the link, you can also see at the bottom of your email provider, whatever, it'll usually tell you where that link's actually going, and you can see, oh, that's not actually for freecars.com. That's for, some weird URL or whatever,
Joe,
right? Yeah.
ABD, right. And, so, I mean, and look, the philosophy 100 years ago is the same as today. If it sounds too good to be true, it's too good to be true.
Yeah.
So you really got to look at that. And again, I click reply, okay, in the email, and I see who sent it.
Right.
And you will see that it didn't come from somebody that you know,
Yep.
or it'll be 400 letters long, whatever they can
All
come
kinds of
up
characters,
with.
yep,
All
yep,
kinds of
yep.
characters. And it's interesting because some of the emails that I get will have like symbols and like from Visa.
Yep.
It'll have Visa, and then but it'll have all kinds of symbols and stuff. And I'm thinking, that wouldn't be what Visa would do.
Right, that wouldn't be their email. And then
So-
you click the link, and sometimes it even takes you to a website that looks just like Visa.com or whatever. But you got to be very careful. Yeah.
Okay, so cybersecurity,
Yep.
antivirus.
Backup, encryption.
Okay, so Norton to me is a nightmare.
Yep.
Okay.
Very slows down computers horribly. Yeah.
Right. But does it work?
It works. Honestly, Windows Defender, like the thing that comes default on your computer, is usually good enough for most people. It's, a little slower on the uptake as far as getting the newest, like, viruses, information being sent over to it. But as long as you're not, like, constantly clicking on emails, Windows Defender should be good enough for most people.
I have, and I've been using it for 100 years, Avast.
Avast is okay. Yep, that's good.
Okay,
That's
and
a
I
good
use
one.
the free version,
Yep, that's good.
and it works quite well. I used a couple others. Norton seemed to have been a nightmare for me.
Yep.
Avast just seemed to work. The biggest problem that I have is remembering to get the updates.
Yep.
And how important is that?
That's the most important part of an antivirus software, right? So there's a lot of viruses and malware that go around, and some of those are identified and put into a catalog, and then that's sent over to an antivirus system. If you're not updating that catalog, the new stuff is going to be missed, and that's what's actively being exploited out in the wild. That's like the newest stuff that they're using. So it's pretty important to update that stuff regularly and patch your computers and devices and all that stuff.
When we talk about cybersecurity, we're not just talking about computers anymore, right? We're talking about cell phones too?
Yep, we gotta always talk about cell phones. That's like there's some statistic out there right now where it's like 98% of internet traffic comes through cell phone, so it's like, gotta think about that. That's the cutting edge stuff.
So, besides adding a Norton or Avast or one of those, what else should somebody do to kind of curb the chances of getting a virus?
I think the biggest thing a person can do by far is security awareness, right? Being mindful when you're clicking through stuff, and that if you are seeing something that's too good to be true, if you're seeing links that don't look quite right, if you're downloading apps on your phone that you're like, oh, win $500 to download this app, you got to be really careful and pay attention when your phone pops up and says, hey, you're giving access for them to see your contacts and do all these other things. Be very conscientious of when you're allowing access to some of those apps. Apple's pretty good about preventing it automatically.
Mm-hmm.
Android a little behind the ball a little bit.
Because people today do their banking on their
Oh, yeah.
phones, okay? They do their credit card information on the phone. You have stuff like Apple Pay and Google Pay, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
So those things can open up the door and give access to.
So one thing I would say is be mindful of public Wi-Fi, especially. So if you're going to Starbucks and you are doing your banking and your QuickBooks and all your stuff at a Starbucks or some other public, Wi-Fi area, be aware, because someone might be sitting there listening in on that traffic as well. That's a public Wi-Fi. They kind of what they'll do is what's called a man-in-the-middle attack, where they will sit and pretend to be the Starbucks Wi-Fi. Your traffic will hit their fake computer, basically, and then send that information to them first, and then send you on to the bank, so they can get your bank login or whatever information that way too.
So, and that's interesting because sometimes I'm out and about and I get a check from somebody,
Mhm.
and I usually just go through my phone and use
Yep.
the
Cellular Wi-Fi.
yeah, use my cellular
Yeah,
Wi-Fi.
cellular is fine. Just be careful if you're like, oh, I'm going to save a couple bucks and turn off my cell Wi-Fi and just actually do the Starbucks Wi-Fi. Be careful when you're doing stuff like that,
Okay,
or if you bring your laptop out.
that's for someone that's not lazy. I'm lazy and I don't want to switch. Even in my house, I
Yeah.
use my cell phone.
Yeah.
My wife goes and connects to the Wi-Fi from home.
Yep.
I just go through my phone because I'm too lazy to go through that change and stuff, and trying to remember. And the, today, besides the phone, you're connected to Alexa, my watch. How dangerous is Alexa?
Um, I would say that it depends on what you hook your devices up to, right? So we're talking like IoT, Internet of Things, your whole smart home connected to everything. There are horror stories of people hacking into your cameras at home. People hacking into your garage Wi-Fi and your smart garage and opening your garage door and stuff like that. So that stuff is very real and can happen, pretty easily. Like I have a device called a Flipper, and you can basically sit there and monitor packets and basically open a garage like a smart garage door or something like that pretty easily. So stuff like that is definitely a real concern. Yeah, for sure.
So I have Alexa at home,
Hmm.
and the only thing it's connected to at home is Alexa.
Okay.
So I
So
asked
just
it to play music
Sure.
and whatever. Does that keep me safer than attaching it to other stuff?
Yeah, that definitely makes you're in a better position as far as security is concerned. Obviously, like Amazon or Google or whoever is definitely listening in on those conversations. So if you're talking about world domination or something like that, they definitely can hear all those plans. But
I know about domination all the time. They look at my bank account and say, "We're okay."
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, don't worry about it. He ain't going nowhere. He barely has enough gas to get to the hardware store.
Yeah.
So I surely know that if you don't do cybersecurity
Yep.
ahead as preventive,
Yep.
it can become a nightmare
Yeah. That's
and probably much more costly.
way more costly because now you're trying to recover everything. Um, talking about like recovery, if I don't know if we want to talk about like St. Lucie County, I don't know if you know what happened a couple months ago here
I
or
think they
whatever.
got a breach, right?
Yeah, they had a ransomware attack come in, and instead of paying the ransomware, which is good, they didn't pay. They have to rebuild their entire infrastructure, right? They have to go through and buy all these new systems and rebuild their whole site and stuff like that. So, that's a lot of money.
Yep.
And I don't know what they could have done differently. I don't have all the details.
I mean,
but,
sometimes I've gotten things that said, kind of like holding my computer for hostage.
right.
But I shut it
Ransomware.
off, I turn it back on, and that's usually gone.
Yeah, so that's usually just a pop-up. If you see something like that, if you didn't do anything too bad, you can usually press like F11 and it'll shrink down your screen. So basically, what it'll do is maximize a program that says, "Oh, you've been compromised." If you press F11, it'll shrink the window down, and you'll be able to see the X at the top right, and you can close out of whatever pop-up that was.
Yeah, I was like, I'm shutting down the computer.
Shut it off.
I don't have patience, but I'll do it anyway. We got a tough time. How do people find you? You have a phone number?
Yeah, I got a phone number, 772-403-3088, and you can find me online at wirsingsecurity.com.
Everybody, I cannot tell you how important it is to make sure that you protect what you have, okay, so that you don't get hacked. Everybody have a great day. Great having you.
Thanks, Wayne.
We'll be right back.